Theobroma Cacao is the scientific name for cocoa, food of the gods. In this video, I'll show you why this food is truly a food of the gods. Stick around to find out. 17.9 million people die from cardiovascular disease every year worldwide, making cardiovascular disease the leading cause of death globally. The majority of cardiovascular disease deaths are from heart attacks and strokes, and 1/3 of these occur in people less than 70 years old. The most striking fact is that most of these could be avoided through diet and lifestyle changes. But exercising moderately 150 minutes a week and eating a heart-healthy, low-fat, low-salt diet has turned out to be much like emptying an ocean with a sponge. People make New Year resolutions, they join gyms, they buy expensive exercise equipment that eventually ends up lying in their exercise room covered in layers of dust and cobwebs. They make resolutions to eat a low-fat, low-salt diet, but end up eating double burgers and French fries daily for lunch. Why is it so difficult to adhere to a healthy lifestyle? Recognizing the connection between cardiovascular disease and lifestyle, researchers in the early 90s searched for communities in which the incidence of cardiovascular disease was low to determine the secret of their success. They found one such community on remote islands off the coast of Panama known as the San Blas Islands. On these islands lived a community of Indians known as the Kuna Indians. High blood pressure and cardiovascular disease were almost non-existent among these Indians, even among the elderly. The island Kuna also had low rates of diabetes and cancer. On the other hand, those Indians who had moved to the mainland city of Veracruz developed high blood pressure and heart disease as if they had never lived in the La Blas Islands. This essentially ruled out heredity as the underlying cause for the low rates of high blood pressure and heart disease among the Indians. It was obvious that the change had something to do with the mainland food and way of living. Researchers realized that it was almost impossible to measure the hecticness and agitation that Indians experienced reliably. So they examined the next likely thing, the food that they were eating. They found differences in the diets of those Indians living in the Blas Islands and those living on the mainland, in that the island dwellers ate more fish and fruit and drank more cocoa. In fact, they drank 10 times as much cocoa as their mainland counterparts. Now, cocoa was given the scientific name Theobroma Cacao in 1753 by Swedish botanist Carl Linnaeus. Theobroma is the Greek word for food of the gods, and cacao is the Spanish adulteration of the Mayan word for the tree, cacao. Researchers were struck by the vast differences in the amounts of cocoa the two groups were drinking and measured cocoa breakdown products in either group. Cocoa flavanols and nitric oxide breakdown products were significantly higher in the urine of the islanders. This indicated that the cocoa flavanols were increasing the level of nitric oxide in the body. Since that initial discovery in the 1990s, multiple studies have confirmed the blood pressure lowering and circulation enhancing effects of cocoa flavanols. And cocoa flavanols have been shown to decrease insulin resistance, arterial stiffness, and cholesterol levels, reduce the incidence of cancer, and prevent the onset of Alzheimer's. A Danish study showed that the beneficial effect was greater among smokers than non-smokers and high alcohol consumers. And the blood pressure lowering property was more pronounced the higher the initial blood pressure in those persons who took cocoa. Now, dark chocolate also reduces cardiovascular mortality, but there is a peak after which the beneficial effect decreases as more chocolate is consumed. That is probably due to the high fat and sugar content of commercial chocolate products. Despite that, chocolate consumption is also associated with lower risks of dying from all causes and from Alzheimer's disease. The Kuna Indians living in the San Blas Islands had no treadmills and did not eat a low salt diet. The amount of salt they consumed was similar to the amount consumed by the mainlanders, but they drank cocoa, 3 to 5 cups of cocoa a day. Recent studies have shown that just a few pieces of chocolate produce the same blood pressure lowering effect as the major disruptive change in diet proven to decrease deaths from cardiovascular disease. If future studies can determine the exact dosage of cocoa and the most effective preparations that can decrease our cardiovascular disease risk, people who find exercise and dieting difficult to follow may be able simply to enjoy a few cups of cocoa a day in place of 150 minutes a week of grueling exercise. In the meantime, we should just relax and introduce more cocoa powder into our diets. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like and share and comment in the box below. Subscribe to the channel to support the channel. And until the next video, stay healthy and stay safe.